Hello and welcome to this very special episode of the GRT Link Live. I'm your host, Eric Matei, President and CBO of Acrinos, but not here representing Acrinos, rather here as a part of the GRT Summit community, joined by GRT Summit founder, Dr. Paul Mormon and Dr. Pete Van Hoven. Dr. Mormon, Dr. Van Hoven, wow, what exciting things on the horizon here at GRT Summit 2024.
Hey, Eric.
Absolutely. Thank you, Eric.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
So, well, look, this episode is kind of a multi-part episode here, but really what we're looking to do in these GRT Link streams is really get into helping doctors be more effective in their practice, right? Achieving those practice goals. So we're going to have a jam-packed series of live streams coming here throughout the year. In tonight's episode, and hopefully you're tuning in live. And if you are, be sure to interact with us in the comments. But this episode is all about how to make 2024 the best year ever. So, Paul, why don't you go ahead and kind of kick it off regarding, what we're looking to do this year and really kind of set the stage for this inaugural episode of GRT Link.
Yep. Thanks, Eric. We were wanting to kick it off, and, I'm so fortunate to have Pete Van Hoven join me. We were the original idea makers for this event. We were traveling through, I think, either southern Utah or northern Arizona where we came up with this idea of having CEs at national parks. So everything else has kind of evolved from there, and we just went right into, well, let's do a meeting where we can have great CE that's pertinent to independent ODs, but also then have business training, business learning, collaboration that will help everybody and make it a different meeting, make it something that is different from anything out there, and where somebody comes and say, I can't wait to go back every year.
Absolutely. And Dr. Van Hoven, I know we had the opportunity to connect here in New Orleans a few months back for the annual, what is now the annual kind of GRT planning meeting down here in the Big Easy. But man, I know you've got some really exciting things here regarding kind of the future of GRT and some really exciting kind of on the adventure front. So why don't you kind of introduce yourself? As the community is continuing to grow, please share a little bit about your background in optometry, and then also, those early conversations about GRT Summit.
Sure. Absolutely. Thank you, Eric. So a little bit backstory, and it'll explain a little bit why I'm kind of late to the party with GRT, a year and a half or so, is that multi-practice location in Middle Tennessee, three common owners, but multiple doctors, associate doctors. And we went through a transaction about a year and a half ago where my partner and his wife are the majority owners in the practices, and being older and not necessarily having a full exit strategy, and having the wife of the partnership having some healthcare concerns and needing to retire, we were acquired by private equity. And so not being the majority owner, that was part of the situation where I went along with it, and am kind of working through the contractual obligations that I have through private equity, and then working toward next steps, contemplating the future, obviously, after that. So, but that delayed my start with GRT, because about the time Paul and I had talked about launching all this was about the time that transaction occurred. So I had to sit on the sidelines, kind of hold back a little bit before I could jump in and participate and help out. So super excited about this opportunity. This is great. It's been a dream of mine and Paul's for a long time. And so just like I said, looking forward to the future in regards to that. But yeah.
Love it. And Dr. Van Hoven, it's also, let's face it, this is such a real relevant element to the industry narrative and to the conversation and considerations for any sort of business owner. And I know from, thinking back to some of our conversations, it's really fascinating the perspective that you can bring to the table to help doctors make these key decisions throughout their practice life cycle. So,
absolutely.
Well, Dr. Mormon, I know we always love to kick it off, all the GRT type programs by, really giving some love to our vendor partners for the year. So I'll let you maybe go ahead and introduce. I know we have a couple folks hanging out here live with us this evening. I'll let you go ahead and introduce them, Dr. Mormon. I'll kind of pull them up on stage here one by one.
Yep. And Eric, if you'll go through to the slide deck real quick, just I want to make sure I don't forget anybody, because we don't have everybody here tonight, but want to make sure that we do recognize everybody. So we've had just some, this is our third year of this event, and we've just had some great vendors that started with us. We have some great vendors now, vendor friends that are back for their third year now. And, every year we pick up new folks, and we don't seem to lose anybody that was in the original group, just because they see the value of this group, and, that we're bringing in a bunch of, just top ODs that are the decision makers in the group, and that are really active in making their practice better. So the newest member of this group is All Eyes, which is they make a VR headset that has visual field capabilities, has a lot of workup type capabilities. So we're really excited to have them. We've talked about them the last 2 years in some of our CE CE sessions. So I'm glad that we have them aboard this year. Neuralens, who's been a partner with us from the very start. So we're excited to have Donnie Holman with us. LKC Technologies, that makes the Redival. We learned a lot about that last year, so we're excited to have them on board. MacuHealth was our title sponsor last year, and they were there the first year with us, so we're glad to have them back. We have Jen Denham with us tonight with Practice Pal Review Wave, who she brought in her company she worked with at first, and then when she moved to Practice Pal, she brought in them just some great technology to help us out as independents. Scope Health with their myriad of dry eye drops and dry eye treatment therapies. Science-Based Health, we got Lauren Killebrew with us, so excited to have her with us. Richard Muha with Bevel will be joining us. So this is pretty big having Richard with us. Some of these high-end vendors, they don't really sponsor a whole lot of groups. So we're excited and grateful to have him again. Richard was a little apprehensive joining our group last year, but he had so much fun with the group. I think that just brought him back, regardless of how much business he did. He just had a great time biking the Shudik Peninsula with Eric, and just really cutting up with the guys that were on the bike ride last year. So Eric, I'll let you bring in the first guest we have. You're on mute, I think.
Sorry, thank you, Paul. Yeah, so let's go ahead and have welcome Donnie Holman out here. So Donnie Holman is national accounts with Neuralens. Donnie's been around the industry for many, many years. He's been a part of Neuralens for a few years now. Donnie, man, we can't wait to have you out to Rocky Mountain National Park for GRT Summit 2024. Why don't you maybe kick us off by just sharing us briefly kind of what all you guys have going on? I know y'all had a great showing at Seco and in New York. And so what's the latest here in the pipeline from Neuralens?
Yeah, no. So Eric, Paul, Dr. Van Hoven, thanks for having us on, number one. So we appreciate that. It's absolutely something that we look forward to every year. I am excited that I'll be doing a lot more personally. We've had some great representation with Derek and Bill, previous years. And, it's great. Before I jump into what we're doing, I just want to say a few things. I think everybody knows about the Ultimate Fighter. And one of the things we talk about the GRT Summit is it's the ultimate summit. If you want some business perspective, if you want some activity, if you want some friendships built, this is the place to go. We hear that over and over. And you got to understand, on this side as a vendor too, we go to a lot of this. We talk to a lot of folks. And I am really excited to be able to get over there this year, and can't one negative thing in the past, and it's just an exciting time. So really, really appreciate all that y'all do as well. And if you're out there just wondering if this is something that you need to invest in and go to, if you don't, you're going to miss out for sure. It is, you can't compare it to any other group. I just want to say that. So thanks again. So jumping into NeuroLens. Yeah, absolutely. So at Expo West, last year, we introduced our VR headset. So our virtual reality headset. We used to have the NMD2s that sat in pre-test, the NMD1 prior to that. Now we're actually in the lanes, still getting the 10,000 data points in the patient, but the last 60 seconds of Lindsay, Lensy, she's our avatar that's in the headset. The last 60 seconds, she speaks to the patient about educating them on why, based on their symptoms, where they filled out from the QR code. So the processes have changed. It has been incredible to see the amount of patients who, just because of that video, the capture rate increasing left and right. We've got several names, people that are related to this group for sure, who have witnessed that and expressed that, and just office who are wearing NeuroLens, who say, I couldn't ride in the passenger seat. I had to only drive. Now I can sit in the passenger seat and look at my phone. Or, maybe it's a little younger, a little closer to home with their child who struggled with reading comprehension and reading. And now with the NeuroLens, that has changed their life. And then don't even get us started on the headaches and the migraines. Our recent study on the HIT-6, we increased 5 points. So we have that validated study, the whole thing to show everyone. So I could go on and on, guys. I mean, this is what I love to do, is talk about NeuroLens. But at the end of the day, we still have the same great contoured prism, but now we're using the virtual reality headset to get that NeuroLens value / prescription. So we've changed the game. We have taken, for the first time ever, everybody has the same amount of time in a day, but that time, once the patient gets in the patient room and in that chair, sometimes they're sitting there, and this 3.5 minutes can change their life, and it shortens the conversation for the OD or MD as well.
Fantastic. Donnie, incredible stuff going on there at NeuroLens. And I think I speak on behalf of Paul, Pete, and everyone around GRT Summit. It's really exciting to have you guys back another year. And I believe at GRT Summit, you'll have units with you.
Absolutely. Yeah, you'll be able to come to the booth, try them on, experience, see what we're talking about. You won't want to miss that at all. And again, it's less than, so you can get the full experience.
Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely.
And, hey, Eric, and technically, Derek introduced the N3 at our meeting last year.
That's right. I remember that.
Unofficially,
that wasn't supposed to happen, but it did.
Yeah, unofficially.
GRT said, absolutely. The secret look. Well, Donnie, thanks so much for joining us this evening, man. We can't wait to see you in a few months here in Rocky Mountain.
Hey, thank y'all, and see you soon.
Yeah. Paul, Pete, what better than demoing a NeuroLens in the national parks? Like, come on. Is that so cool or what?
That's pretty awesome.
Next up, let's have our good friend and another founding supporter of GRT Summit, Jen Denham. Welcome, Jen, on out.
Hey,
Jen,
guys. Hi.
Greetings. Hello.
Hey,
welcome.
Jen.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me. No stranger to GRT. I wear the badge of honor of being one of the founding partners.
That's it. Yes.
Just such an amazing experience for sure.
And now to and Dr. Mormon mentioned a moment ago to have you back now. You've moved companies, still in the industry, doing amazing tech for modern optometry practices. So why don't you share with us a little bit about what you guys are doing at Review Wave and Practice Pal, and just some cool things you're looking forward to at GRT Summit.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you guys hit the nail on the head that founding members don't leave, but we do have to fight for our place to be able to come to the GRT conference. Once word gets out, the fun that we have and the relationships that we build, you have a lot of people from your company that want to go, right? So really excited to continue to support independent optometry and all the GRT attendees with Review Wave and Practice Pal. I think when we look towards 2024 and supporting independent practices, we want to look towards automation, and that overall patient experience before they come in and when they leave, and then supporting our staff with tools that just make things automated and seamless. So ReviewWave is able to tackle from the beginning to the end your patient engagement, online forms, scheduling, two-way text, and make it real easy and modern. We live in a world where all of our patients have their phone in their hand. They don't want to pick up the phone. They want to be able to schedule and text and then have that great communication with their doctor. And then with the acquisition of PracticePal, which was founded by Dr. Nate McLean, another amazing independent optometrist that wanted to solve the problem of insurance verification and benefits lookup. There is not a single person out there in a practice that says, but wait, we love logging into 5, 6, 7 portals to verify with this patient's insurance. So Dr. Nate McLean created a solution to be able to automate that entire process from if someone calls in, we could do a simple search, first name, last name, date of birth, to be able to pull not only the primary, but all the dependents for vision and medical, which is very exciting. People are still learning about that. And when we're integrated with your EHR, that automatically happens and pushes that snapshot into the patient file. So saving tons of time for your staff, maximizing benefits for your patients. And with the power of ReviewWave, we are also announcing our expiring benefits campaigns with a specific benefit that patient is about to lose, which is huge, right? So taking that pain point out of just the bottlenecks that comes with insurance verification. And then the power of knowing what your patient's insurance is what powers our Smart Cart, which is a copay calculation tool to make it super easy for your opticians to avoid miscalculations and make sure that we're maximizing those patient benefits. So my experience with the GRT summits have been amazing. I've hiked the Narrows with some friends over there at NeuroLens and a few other companies there. You don't hike the Narrows for 6 hours and not come back with lasting friendships, right? It's
Absolutely.
maybe not blood, sweat, and tears, but it's definitely like water, sweat, and tears, right? And then last year in Maine, when we did the Beehive hike, which, you know, Dr. Ali and I are now thick as thieves because there were some terrifying moments there. But I mean, hikes and adventures for families or people who need to get their adrenaline rush. And then again, I think it's so important that, you know, for people like Donnie was saying, we go to a lot of conferences. Obviously, ROI is something that we're always reporting to our leadership team. But I think we also know that within the industry, these relationships are so important. And going to a GRT summit is where you're going to build relationships. You're going to get feedback on your product, and you're really going to be able to just know how you're actually supporting independent optometry to make it even better. So I am a huge advocate for the summit and what you guys have put together, and can't wait to be there this year.
Thank you, Jen. I look forward to meeting you and build a relationship with you. And look forward to that next memory that you're going to make after the Beehive and the Narrows. Those are two fantastic memories. So I'm curious to see what you come up with in Rocky Mountain.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much, guys, for having me.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, Jen. And thank you so much also for bringing ReviewWave and PracticePal. Learn more, practicepal.io. But Jen, thank you again for bringing these solutions into the fold for GRT Summit, because, you know, what GRT is all about, right? I mean, what GRT is all about is grow, retain, transition. And you can't grow, retain, and transition a modern practice if you're not using modern tools in your operation. So it's really exciting to have some technology partners along for the ride, vendor friends of GRT Summit. So let's go ahead and ask Lauren Killebrew Lovelace to join us, who I suppose we were last all together at GRT last year was Lauren Killebrew. Yes. So congratulations.
Thank you. Yes, I finally got around to changing my last name. It's a lot of paperwork. But yeah, I'm Lauren. I work with Science-Based Health. We're a nutraceutical company. We focus on all the major eye diseases, and our top seller is Hydro Eye. So a lot of people are more familiar with Hydro Eye than anything else. But yeah, we have a full line of products. This will be my second year at the GRT, and last year was absolutely amazing. I mean, Acadia was beautiful. Just making all the relationships, like Jen said, it's just incredible because it's so intimate and you're really having to go and do all these fun things. So it's not forced. So it just feels really great to have the opportunity to come to such a great summit like this.
Yeah. And, Lauren, I think back to last year, some of those interactions there in the exhibit hall space, some of those sessions. I remember some of the really fascinating conversations being able to have with doctors and other vendor friends,
Definitely.
and seeing where all of these solutions and tools really fit in to the modern practice. Now, Paul, why don't you share? I know you've connected with the team at Science Based Health. They're really huge fans of everything going on at GRT Summit, and I know you use a lot of Science Based Health product up in your practices.
Yeah, we do. We've been very successful with it. Just so it's so cool to have to met Richard Briggs too. Lauren, I'm sorry, I'm always going to know you as Lauren Killebrew because I just
It's
remember
okay.
I remember people's maiden names better than their married names. So I apologize to your husband.
Oh, it's fine. He is.
but Richard and I have something in common in the fact that we've hiked a bunch of peaks, the same peaks, not at the same time, but same high points in different states. So, and as I understand, Richard's going to join you this year, correct?
That's the plan. He really wants to. So
Richard is a kindred spirit, with the love for the great outdoors. So it's just going to be fantastic to have him. I'd love to have Zach with us too, but maybe hopefully Zach may join us, Eric, out in San Francisco this fall when we do our other program, which is to be mentioned later potentially.
Yeah, to be mentioned. Well, absolutely. Well, hey, so Lauren, look, super pumped to have you and Science Based Health out at GRT Summit 2024 in Rocky Mountain National Park. Folks can learn more at sbh.com. And we can't wait to see you out west.
Yeah, can't wait.
So,
Thank you, Lauren.
Thank you,
Lauren.
Well, Dr. Mormon, Dr. Van Hoven, what an amazing group of vendor friends along for the ride here, GRT Summit 2024. And look, that crew there, right? Donnie Holman from Neuralens, Jen Denham from Review Wave and Practice Pal, Lauren Killebrew Lovelace from Science Based Health. That's just scratching the surface, right? Because I know Paul and Pete, thinking back to you all's vision for this program also is like, hey, we want to have solid business development type sessions and workshops. We want to have top level medical CE, and we want to have some really great vendor collaborators and vendor friends that are going to be there and support what we're all about. So it's really exciting to see our returning friends and some of our new friends coming to the table.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
we're real excited. We're real excited to have everybody back, and some new folks on board too. And what you'll learn from, kind of where we talk about, we're all about having, vendors that have something that can greatly enhance our practices, something that is transportable. So if you have multiple locations, you could move, some of these things around, and also vendors that reward you, if you do a certain level of sales, so if you have multiple locations or if you have a great dry clinic where you can pull these products right off your shelf, it's just great to have the support of these folks that we have.
And stay tuned. I think we got some more to be added to the list as well.
Yes. Oh, yes. We have a record number of folks that are interested in this group. These are just the ones that I've got a verbal confirmation that they will be there. But there are many others that are, they're running it up their corporate, kind of totem pole to make sure they get approval. But I think we're going to have more vendors this year than ever, and we're looking forward to putting together some programs for our business collaboration sessions where we talk about how we can incorporate these products and these services, technology, to modernize our practice, to make it easier on our staff, and just to make us all more profitable in this world of declining reimbursements and everything else, just things that we can do to to enhance our practices.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that segues into, a few things regarding, this evening's kind of focus area here. We're getting to looking at Q1 and jumping into Q2, which I know is really what we want to jump into also here in these GRT Link streams, right? Is having some good clear tactics that doctors can bring back to their businesses to really have an impact. But I know also in kicking off this GRT Link this evening, Dr. Marvin, you wanted to have an opportunity to introduce Dr. Pete Van Hoven.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm very excited to have Pete with us. As I mentioned, we've shared many national parks together with our families and just made lots of memories. So we're glad to have him on board, and he's got like I said, he has a wealth of knowledge that he can share with us. I mean, they had a multi-million-dollar practice that they built up, him and his partner. So I mean, you don't just get to that point just by being an okay businessman and being an okay doctor. I mean, it's Pete and I have jokingly talked about opening a practice together somewhere, close to a national park, but we both have, as you can see there, Pete has 2 daughters, like I have 3. So he has 2 beautiful daughters, Carson and Kate. And I have 3. So, I mean, we've got to pay for weddings first and take care of that kind of stuff before we can run off and open something out in the middle of nowhere, Glacier National Park, wherever it may be. But one of the coolest things I think Pete's going to bring to this table is he's been a clinical investigator for many, many years, and he knows all the ins and outs. So he's talked about, we're going to have a session at the summit about what it takes to be a clinical investigator and what kind of staffing and support you need to have be a clinical investigator. And we're kind of hoping that we could potentially promote our GRT group to a company as a multi-location clinical investigation site. And Pete would kind of, run that with us and tell everybody how to do it and educate us all. So if you're interested in being a clinical investigator, there's a lot of benefits to your practice other than just, notoriety and, being known as a clinical investigator. There's a lot of financial benefits too. So Pete, I hope I did a good job of in introducing you and let you just kind of take it over.
Yeah, that's great, Paul.
What I forgot.
No, you're good. It's like you said, multi-location, heavy contact lens practice, the primary practice, 2 of their smaller practices. They were over $1 million revenue, but the big practice was where we did was the mothership, if you will. And so ran most of our clinical trials out of there and have participated as you name it. I'm currently doing one on pediatric myopia with atropine therapy that's gone really well. It's a 4-year trial with kids between basically 3 years and about 12 months, and it's going beautifully. So that's been exciting to see. And the primary endpoint of that clinical trial looks really promising. So I think it's probably going to get early FDA approval. But I've done a myriad of different trials, pharmaceutical, contact lens, you name it. And I've probably participated in one way or another over the years. So been at it for 22 years now, 23 years. So so I definitely absolutely would love to teach everybody. I'm passionate about clinical trials. I've had a lot of fun doing them. Like you said, great notoriety. It's engagement for the staff. You always know what's coming down the pipeline. Certainly additional revenue for the practice goes straight to the bottom line. There's no insurance. And honestly, once you get up and running and the ins and the outs of it, it's not a ton of additional work. It really isn't. And I can share with you guys how we've always incorporated the clinical trials as to not disrupt general patient flow in the clinic setting. So anyway, a lot to share there, and happy to put together a presentation, and would love to like I said, get several on board the group that are interested and take that to the next step and reach out to industry contacts and help facilitate that. So, but other than that, just in the lane like you are, Paul, still seeing patients. I'm in 4 days a week in clinic, and then I've got a 1 day a week. It's kind of an admin day. So it's I've got a good schedule right now.
In the lane, he says. I got to say, Dr. Van Hoven, Dr. Mormon, and I think I speak on behalf of probably all of us that are vendor friends of GRT Summit. It's really exciting to be collaborating and working with doctors who are actually doing it and living it. You guys aren't just sitting on the sidelines, jet setting, whatever, writing blog posts and this and that. You guys are like actually grinding it out, making it happen. And I think to second what Jen Denham had mentioned earlier, from a vendor standpoint, the opportunity to connect with doctors that are operating their businesses at a very high level and are looking at their businesses as businesses and as modern healthcare environments, modern clinics. So yeah, I've just got to say, and I think I speak on behalf of all the other vendor friends out there. It's really exciting to be working with you guys and all of the doctors that are part of the GRT Summit community. So what do y'all say we jump into some of the details on this year's event? And also we did have a little shout out here. Our good friend Kayla Ashley from over there at Spexy tuning in live. Hello, Kayla. Thank you so much for tuning in. I know Spexy is really excited to get involved in GRT Summit. So, Kayla, thanks so much for tuning in. So, Paul, Pete, why don't you guys take it over and we'll kind of walk through a little bit of what's on the horizon for this year and then jump into some focus areas that doctors can implement here in Q2 to make 2024 the best year ever.
Yeah, and we're gonna run through this pretty quickly, just because we like to keep these things kind of moving, and it's important to get our vendors involved, and get them a chance to talk. And we will have Kayla and on the next session we do. We're putting together a program with Kayla and some of our frame vendors that are going to be out there for frame board management, sales techniques, just all kinds of stuff where you can make an impact in your optical. As you, hopefully you've all heard, Estes Park, Colorado, Rocky Mountain National Park, September 4th through 8th. We're doing something new this year where we're going to have a CE day. I've heard a lot of talk over the past couple of years that people really love the idea, but they, need to get more CE at their meetings. So we're trying to make this where it's going to cover everybody's needs. So we're going to have 14 hours of CE this year. So we'll start out on Wednesday with a long CE day. If you want that extra CE, we have a lot of folks that come to the meetings that, they want more of the business management. So we're going to have, we'll have in 8 hours or so of OD practice enhancement sessions. So we don't want to call it practice management because we all like to manage our practice, but we want to learn how to enhance our practice. So that's why we call it practice enhancements. And we bring in our vendor partners, our vendor friends to help us that. So it's not just OD driven or, Eric just talking about it. It's our vendor friends too. We'll have 2 days of group adventures. We're gonna have our sunset hike, our sunrise hike, and our sunset event. The coolest thing about our group that we do is, everything's all together. So we do group dinners, and that just creates our community and our connection that we leave the meeting with, and what everybody longs for to come back the next year. So we'll jump right into just some practice enhancement stuff. These are some things that Pete and I have talked about and things that we can do to, if you had a slow start to the year, if you had a great start to the year, just, if you had a slow start, do some of these things to turn it around. If you've had a great start, just implement and run through some of these things just to keep it going.
Let's do it. But before doing that, Paul, and I don't know if it's going to work because he literally just hopped in the studio, but our good friend Richard Muah from Bevel is in studio. So let's see, Richard, not to put you on the spot, but
hi guys.
Hi, Richard.
Hey, Richard.
I just came straight from dinner, so I have no idea what's going on, but it looks like a good bunch of people, in my opinion.
Richard,
I had a great time the last year in Bar Harbor, and loved meeting you all, and had such a great time. I'm back again this year for to keep you all on your toes, and had a really great time. I think from my perspective, the biggest thing was the people. I just felt like it was a good bunch of people who I could mix with and really respect. And I don't know. The way we do business as a company is about relationships, and I feel like your group is such an important part of what you do as well. Is like there is relationships that you build with each other, and that also fosters a lot of other important connections in terms of how you run your businesses and how you learn from each other. And I just think the community is really special and something we treasure as a business. And I really treasure that about your group.
Thank you, Richard.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Fantastic. And I think also in terms of when we think of the modern optometry practice and all of the turbulence in optical and in the supply chain, and, you know, Richard bringing to the table what Bevel brings to the table, and also outside of that, what you do with Loft Eyewear shows. And I know some exciting collaborations, GRT Summit and Loft Eyewear shows, and many exciting things going on. It's really exciting to bring independent eyewear into the fold of the modern optometry practice, because it is absolutely a necessary piece of the equation. Doctors need to have the tools and resources available to them and realize that there really is a whole other world in independent eyewear and independent supply chain that's there to serve them and their patients. So I know, Paul, you brought in Bevel following GRT Summit and have had remarkable success with it.
Yeah, we brought in Bevel after I visited one of our fellow GRTers, Jeff Smith, who is in Boulder, Colorado. Jeff signed up for our first event in Zion National Park, and I was out in Estes Park on a site visit for this meeting we're having this year. And I just called up Jeff and said, "Hey, can I come in and check out your practice?" And he said, "Of course." And I walked in. Jeff has this beautiful practice, and hopefully our goal is with this year's summit, we're all going to do a little site visit on our way from the Denver airport to Estes Park to see his practice. It's always great to, Pete and I've always talked about this, it's always great to see somebody else's practice and kind of how they have their flow and how they have everything set up. It's just a valuable resource. But anyway, so Jeff said, it's Jeff, out of all of your frames that you have on your board, these beautiful frames, what does best? And he said, Bevel. So I think within a couple months, I met Richard out at the Loft Eyewear show in San Francisco with my partner, David. And we sat right down, and Richard and I have a lot in common with 3 daughters. So we had a lot to talk about there. And we brought it in, and it's been, our best seller since then also. So just it's a wonderful brand. It's a wonderful, just quality product, great, beautiful design, beautiful colors. So we couldn't be happier to have Richard with us again this year.
Yeah, that just one thing I would say as well is I feel like there's a great synergy between companies like mine and the other people in the Loft who are small independent companies who are just trying to do their thing. And I think there's a great synergy that we've developed with your group, in the sense that we're all, we're not big companies, but not big corporations. And I think there's a connection in terms of being independent and being independent eyewear designers and independent, optometrists and opticians. And I think that we need each other going forward, because there's so much consolidation and so many big corporations around that we can actually thrive and help each other. And I think that's a connection that we have, but also have fun. I mean, that's the other thing about what I love about this business is meeting incredible people and having fun with them and just getting out there in nature as well and having, doing some fun stuff.
And riding a bike until picking to race through those last through hills back to home
except
base.
You caught me. You caught me on the last hill, Eric. I was gonna win there. I was a sleeping giant until you came along.
A sleeping giant. That's great. Well, at least we found your yacht. At least we found the yacht.
Yeah, we did.
Well, Richard, man, it's great to see you. Hey, congrats on a very successful Loft Eyewear shows here in
Thank you.
NYC last month, and it's so excited to see that Loft Eyewear shows is staying in New York City in March 2025. Everybody, stay tuned. Some huge announcements coming in that front. So, Richard, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, guys. All right, nice meeting you all.
Thank you, Richard.
Bye-bye.
All right. Well, hey, Dr. Mormon, Dr. Van Hoven, what do you say we hop back into the episode? Kind of jump into here. Okay, so we got some exciting things coming in store. GRT Summit 2024, Rocky Mountain National Park. But between now and then, we're going to have a couple quarters to get to. So let's jump into what some things are that doctors can do to really make it happen here for the remainder of 2024. Why don't you guys take it away?
Yeah, and this is just kind of an overview, so we'll dig a little deeper next time too. But just something that we put together, and we're going to kind of go back and forth. Pete, I'll let you do the next slide, and then I'll jump back and forth, and we'll just kind of add some of our
Sure.
Our spin on it, or our knowledge on it, and just to remind everybody who's listening in or going to listen in, Pete and I are not we may not be well-known speakers out on the circuit, but we are not well-known speakers because we work in the trenches and we work in our offices, and we're the ones doing this stuff and correcting this stuff and enhancing this stuff. And so these are all these events that we do and all these things that we put out, this education we put out, they're all self-driven. We all come up with it ourselves. So it's all original data. But just to dig into this stuff, I'm a big advocate of analyzing your metrics, and not only just doing it through, a company or some kind of tech, but also do it by hand. Look at your EHR, pull up your own reports. Don't just rely on everything that comes automated through you. Use that data too, but also look at your own metrics. You use this time to educate your staff, solidify your processes, look at adding a specialty to your practice, and implement some of these new technologies and products. There's a whole lot of things. We'll get to this a little bit more, but a whole lot of things you can do to make your practice stand out. And a lot of it is just being a modern practice. So implementing some of this new things. Review your professional fees. I just got something today that talked about some of the fees that we have, like with amniotic membranes and some of the other things that we do where, they're decreasing some of our reimbursements, but it never, it's always a good time to look at your fees and make sure you're at those levels where you're getting the maximum reimbursements. Look at, we're all doing more highly specialized contact lenses. So look at your contact lenses fees, your screening charges. We've been at the same Optos rate. I don't even know how many years we've been at the same Optos rate, how much we charge people, but it's been a while. So we're looking at updating that. Vision plan allowables, VSP. We all do a lot of VSP. I know there's a couple that might be on here that don't do any insurance, but we do a lot of vision plans, and just make sure your fees reflect where you're going to get reimbursed. All contact lens companies have increased their prices, so make sure you look at that. I would compare it to online. What you can find different online retailers are charging, and a lot of times you can make it very, very aggressive and very, very comparable to what you're getting versus, or what you're charging versus what some of these online retailers are. If we're getting our prices, our prices to us are getting raised, we have every right to raise our prices because we've got to maintain profitabilities, or else we're playing a losing game with, inflation and what's costing us more money.
Yep. Absolutely. Really, really great stuff there, Dr. Mormon. I think the key piece here is really being proactive, right? I mean, you're pointing out, hey, when was the last time you assessed your fees and adjusted them? And also pointing out, and not only contact lens vendors, I mean, you point out that all the contact lens companies have raised prices, but not only that, check those costs of goods, see where those prices have increased. What can you do to change those? Or is it time for you to increase your price as well. Really, really great stuff. So, Dr. Van Hoven, I know, one of these other things that you guys talk about here is maximizing time inside the office and also outside of the office, right? So why don't you touch on some of those key points here?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a situation where, again, we all have those busy times a day, and so if you can, look at your schedule and with associates as well as with yourself, see how efficient you are, and get while you're in the office. If you need to do staff education, but you can clump patients together, and also obviously it makes the office look busier when you've got multiple people in and out of there and in and out of the optical, those sorts of things. So anytime you can look to streamline your day, have meetings, have little powwows daily, look at your schedule, look where there might be bunch points in the schedule, crunch times where you can figure out how to mitigate that on the front end to be more efficient, to not get behind on your time, but also then take the extra time that you can to teach your staff. There's a lot of things that, we hire these great people. We teach them the basics, but then do we really expound upon the different diseases and the different things that we're thinking as we're going through caring for patients, so they have a better understanding of what it is that we're doing, the why behind we do it. So again, look for those opportunities when you do have spare time to teach. Don't just go, hop on social media or something like that because you got a 20-minute gap in your schedule. Think about things you can be doing to enrich the lives of those that work for you, and be forward thinking. And so they've got a say in the business, help you make better decisions because they come up with some great ideas. And so if they realize that you're teaching, you're sharing, then they're going to be more willing and open to share with you things that they observe, things that they know that may want to try. We've got some great ideas from our staff that we wouldn't have otherwise thought of. So those are certainly opportunities there. Outside of the office, one of the things we always do is with young associates, as they're trying to build their practices. I'm sure a lot of you guys are doing this, but get those associates out in the community, get them going to Rotary meetings. I know you don't want to have them out of the office because you'd rather have them there, being productive, but I can promise you, you can work their schedule such that they can have a 2-hour lunch, go to a Rotary meeting, and make so many different connections to help grow that business, help grow their business within the business, and things of that nature that can be done efficiently and pay huge dividends. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Touching on variety of ways to maximize that time in office and out of office, and, work hard, play hard, however you define it. There's definitely a whole lot of ways to become more effective and best use that time. So, Dr. Mormon, now shifting gears into some other areas that have been identified here, and that's kind of evaluating the team, looking for ways to really maximize office success and efficiency. Why don't you share some takeaways on that front? Yep. Paul, you're muted.
All right, sorry. There we go. So this is something we spend a lot of time with, and I like the way Pete was saying that, use your time to educate, and we just always are trying to talk to somebody about ways they can improve in a positive way, in a positive feedback way, obviously. But the way we're going to stay profitable is working with some of our technology, some of our vendors that provide a potentially higher reimbursable or a higher cost per patient, product. So like bevel frames, that's something we brought in. And what I'll tell, and I've told the group last year, is there are patients that walk in your door, no matter where you are, no matter where you're located, that would purchase a bevel frame if you had it on your board. And, they just want nice quality products. And that's, one of the nicest ones out there. Reviewing your office medical protocols. So when you bring in these new technologies like All Eyes, Redival, NeuroLens, you can make sure your protocols are really, really sharp. So when somebody walks in with a certain complaint, you can get them right into that protocol for treating them medically. And then also working with MacuHealth, Science-Based Health, Scope. One of the things that we've done a lot this year is worked with Vitreous Health, because we have tons of people that come in with vitreal floaters and different things that we've really made some impact with that. We were a little skeptical at first, just with like what kind of impact you have, but we've had some very, very positive impact from people that have been on that vitreous health formulation for 3 to 6 months. Look at your staff strengths and weaknesses. This is something that Practice Pal can really help you with. If you've got somebody who's a little weak in presenting options to a patient, for their vision plan benefits, Practice Pal can really help with that. And then just also consider looking at some automation, some technology over just hiring another staff member. Not that we don't need people in our office, but there's a lot of things that we can do now that are AI based, that are very technology driven, that not only are they a less expensive avenue for us, but people really like when they come in the office, and there's a lot of technology to assist them in their journey through a vision care exam or a medical exam.
Absolutely. There's so many ways now more than ever to utilize technology, to utilize SaaS, as it were. And to that extent, also, it's really cool to see how technology is playing a role in across our vendor friends, right? Coming to the table and finding ways to implement that in the practice. So, we're talking about ways to make 2024 the best year ever. Paul, I know something that's always been near and dear to your heart, and I think Pete, you'll elaborate on it here also, is prioritizing patients. Prioritizing those patients that prioritize your practice. Why don't you guys elaborate a little bit on that for us?
Yeah, we all, Paul, if you don't mind, I'll jump in here. We all have patients that are just great advocates for our offices that, come heck or high water, they're gonna be there. They're gonna show up. They're gonna support us, support the staff, refer friends and family. They just are just tremendously beneficial to us growing our businesses. And so those are the folks that, obviously we really want to target and take that extra step, prioritize, give them optimal scheduling appointments if at all possible. Obviously, we pre-point. I'm sure a lot of you guys do as well. So we're always trying to set those folks up for the next visit with their primo time slot at their preferred time, whatever's going to work best for them. If they have to reschedule, we're always willing to accommodate and try to get them in as soon as possible at their preferred time. Little touch points along the way. We, do letters again for, so many referrals that come in. A lot of people don't handwrite letters anymore, so we still do handwritten letters thanking our key clients, key patients for their referrals and just their support of the practice, practices for all the years. So that's something we've consistently done and continue to do, and it's just a great touch point. I think is that's there. It's they just appreciate that extra effort on our part, particularly in today's world when everything is such fast paced and it's always an email or a text message. So a little more personalized when you do things like that. So. Again, Paul, if you want to jump in there as well, things that you guys do.
I think you really covered it all. It's just more of, as Eric said, just prioritizing those folks that are advocates. We all know who these patients are, and we all know who the patients are that are not necessarily, that would not fit this mold. And, as we talked about before with Capperman, we have different ways we do this that we can expand on. But we've been very successful with, especially as you're trying to, like as Pete does, where he doesn't see patients 5 days a week. He's got to have 4 days, full of patients. But if you can put four days of, the patients that you want to see and that really want to see you, then you really don't lose any revenue generation by not being there and, letting an associate or a young partner see those patients.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I was just going to jump right in. I'm sorry.
Go for it. Yeah, go for it.
This is the biggest thing with a lot of folks joining into the private equity realm. We're already different, kind of the way we do it as independent practitioners, but just things you can do to further differentiate yourself, whether it be adding a new specialty to your clinic, and utilizing your new associate for this. I talked about this last time, is whenever we bring in a new associate, we make them kind of the primary on scleral lenses, or on our dry clinic, or handling diabetes. So we try to make, where the partners are referring to the younger associates as the kind of the expert in that field, because it adds value to our practice. It adds revenue to us. It fills the associate schedule. The associate gets some more notoriety in the practice as being, a key member of the practice. So it's really a win-win to do those kind of things. Adding in new products that bring in patients and help create loyalty. I don't know how often we have it, but I can't express enough how great it's been having Bevel in. We have people come in all the time because we're on the Bevel locator. Bevel's sold in these high-end optical shops all over the United States. So if somebody goes snow skiing in Vail or goes to New York, they may walk in an optical shop that carries Bevel. And when they get back to their hometown, they want to keep purchasing Bevel frames because they're such high quality. So we have people come in all the time just because they saw us on the locator, and they're not our patient, but they came from a different office. So that's something we've done just to create patients that are loyal to us. I wanted to bring up this group too. This is a brand new group. I don't know if anybody's really heard about it, and I don't know how to say it exactly, but Baggio sunglasses. So basically, this is some guys that were really big into the Costa business, that kind of brought Costa up to where it is, when Costa kind of changed to more of a corporate company. These guys broke off and started their own high-end specialty sunglass company. So I've been talking to them about having them out at the summit because I think it'd be really cool to have a sunglass frame. But we have just brought these into our office, and I think we were the first optometry office to bring them in. The only reason why I know that is just because, or we found out about it, is because one of our opticians was, who's a fisherman. One of his, I guess, the guys he follows on the fishing circuit was promoting them, and he looked it up and he was like, "Hey, this is a new independent company that we can partner with and sell their products." So we brought them in, and like I said, hopefully they're going to be out at the summit in Colorado, and you guys will get to meet them and learn more about Baggio.
There's so many fascinating ways to differentiate your practice these days, and it's really exciting. I mean, even just these things you've talked about there, right? Adding a specialty, leverage your associate, you let them be the expert, and big time, Paul, getting into products, and particularly on this optical front. So really exciting to welcome some vendor friends on the optical front there, and that brings us about to the end of the line here on this episode of GRT Link. Touching on ways to really make 2024 the best year ever. Dr. Mormon, Dr. Van Hoven, anything else to add before we kind of sign off for this episode?
Yeah.
No, other than well, go ahead, Paul.
Oh no! All I was going to say is that all those pictures that were integrated in these slides, those are all from Estes Park. Those are all things that we're going to be doing. So just to add a little teaser to the webcast here, that it's going to be a great summit, and we're filling up fast. We've already got about 15 signed up for 40 slots. So I've encouraged all of our previous attendees to go ahead and sign up. So hopefully they will, but we're going to have some spots. So if you're interested in this meeting, hopefully you are, and you hope it's just not another CE meeting. It's something where you're building long-lasting friendships and getting to enjoy the beauty of God's splendor that He created. So
fantastic. Well, Dr. Paul Mormon, Dr. Pete Van Hoven, to all of our viewers out there, and vendor friends, past and present, GRT Summit friends and community members, past and present, we cannot wait to have you join us for GRT Summit 2024, Rocky Mountain National Park. Head on over to grtsummit.com. Register, as Dr. Morgan was just sharing. We're already filling up, and we can't wait to see you in Rocky Mountain. So until next time, be sure to follow GRT Summit on the socials. Head over to grtsummit.com. Be sure to get on the newsletter, the email list. We got some really exciting live streams scheduled throughout the year, and as well as some live events coming up at a show near you. So stay tuned for exciting announcements still to come. On behalf of Dr. Paul Mormon, Dr. Pete Van Hoven, Eric Matei signing off from GRT Link.
Thanks, Eric.
Thank you.